part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for Cavs on the Break NBA podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I am your host, Chase Smith, and with me, NBA writer, FoopsWire.com. He's our Cavs insider, national NBA writer, Sam Amico. Sam, what is up, my man?
How's it going? Good to hear your voice again. Good to see you again. It's been a couple of weeks.
It's great to hear you. Great to see you. And you sound great, man. I think the last time we recorded, we had some internet connectivity issues, but let me tell you, are crystal clear. You look crystal clear, and I'm happy to be with you tonight, man. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Thanks for sounding okay.
I'm forever in your debt.
You know, whenever you're dealing with a guy who peaked in the early 90s, the odds of me sounding great take some work. Let's just put it that way.
Well, here we are. JIA and John Sable are with the rest of the Cavs lineup this week. They're sitting this one out. Shouts to Zach for checking this pod out as well. Hey, Sam, here's where we're at. All right. The Cavs are 8-5 on a 4-game losing streak. Let me give you a quick breakdown of how we got here. Cavs beat the Lakers. Everyone is flying high. The Cavs are the best team in the NBA. Can you believe they're never going to lose again? I might have been saying this. I don't know if anyone else was. That might have been me. But then they lose to the Clippers by 2, which they probably shouldn't have lost that game. That was a combination of refs missed some calls. Garland had a terrible game. They forgot they had Donovan Mitchell on their team for the last 4 minutes. Garland forgot that he's not the best player on the team. Don't get me started on that, Sam Amico. But we lost to the Clippers by 2. We didn't score of like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Like it was not good. It was not good. Then, if it could get worse, we lost to the Kings by 7. Then we lose to the former champs, the Warriors, by 5. And then we just lost to the Timberwolves by 5 at home. But don't worry, Sam. Don't worry. Garland scored 51. Don't worry that we lost 4. Do not worry. Hey, did you know that Darius Garland scored 51? Hey, Sam. Hey, did you hear that Darius Garland scored 51 points?
I was there, and I think I was asleep for the most part for the first 3 quarters because it was just such a bad game, and the Cavs were playing not so great.
Well, I don't know if you noticed. We lost, but Darius Garland scored 50. Did you see that? I mean, 51 points. We lost, but hey, 51 points.
I'll tell you what, that it was a pretty remarkable fourth quarter performance by him. But just recapping the week, Chase, I think, you know, the Clippers loss to me was like maybe just tired. I think they were coming down from having finally gotten the weight of LeBron James off their shoulders by beating the Lakers the previous day. I think they just ran out of gas in that game against the Clippers. It was a disappointment because they had the game in the bag. Kings, you know, the Kings, you're going to lose games occasionally on the road. The Kings are much improved under Mike Brown. Cavs didn't play that great. You know, they got behind and then they had to fight and claw their way back. Just, you know, those are games you're going to lose in the NBA throughout the course of the season. Disappointing loss, but, you know, those things happen. The Warriors game, another game that you kind of had a nice lead there and let it get away from you with some mistakes down the stretch, some breakdowns down the stretch. And then, you know, the Timberwolves, they always call those things schedule losses, and that's to say when you come back off the road on a long trip like the Cavs were on that first game home, you're kind of already spent, and boy did they show it in the first half. They were just lifeless in that game until the fourth quarter. So, you know, games on the road on a West Coast trip, those are brutal. Anything can happen in those games. I don't fault the Cavs for being uneven, so to say.
And they're not getting a lot of flack. You haven't heard a lot of down people for their losing streak, for dropping games to the Clippers, who are the best defensive team in the NBA. And they definitely showed it against the Cavs. They were physical. They were in their face. They pressured the ball. You're not hearing people complain about even dropping to the Kings or losing to the Warriors or even the Timberwolves at home. I mean, the Timberwolves made some moves. They got, you look down that roster, that is an impressive roster. So they're not getting a lot of flack for losing these games. But it's maybe how they lost them, Sam, where they had leads against the Clippers. They had a lead against the Warriors, and you just would have loved to seen them finish those games out.
Yeah, well, and you think about the season opener, they had a lead against the Raptors, and they couldn't close that game either. So there's a little bit of growing pains, I think, after that. In between that 8-game winning streak, they've had a little bit of growing pains, and we knew they were going to go through them at some point. And the good news is for them, they're still right in the thick of the Eastern Conference race in the early season, and we've seen what they can do when they play well.
Yes.
So I think it's this is a little bit of a bumpy stretch, but also understandable because of the way the schedule has been. After they play Milwaukee on Wednesday, I'm pretty sure they have 4 in a row at home. So that's when you get things corrected, go out and get some more wins, and then you're back on track.
And the Milwaukee game, it's not like that's super far anyway. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump. And I'm not so much concerned about the losing streak. I saw some things that were pretty concerning that I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm glad they're getting these things figured out in November rather than in April or May, when you're like, okay, why is this still an issue? Now, if they're still having these issues closing out games April, May, well, then we need to talk. But you kind of want young teams to figure out, hey, who's going to close this game for us, especially when you bring in a big player like Donovan Mitchell, who's a pretty ball dominant guard. Like they're going to go through some of these growing pains. We talked about this when they traded for Mitchell, right? Who's the alpha? Who's going to be taking that last shot? Who's going to say in the timeout, hey, I get this shot, or hey, I want the ball, or I don't even know if players do that. They probably do, but coaches might, I don't know. But I kind of felt like when Garland was injured that first week or so, the first couple of weeks, I think kind of showed, and they didn't have to answer that question right away. And because of that, everything defaulted to Mitchell, and it just kind of clicked. But when he came back, well, now it's all of a sudden, hey, we got this point guard who we're paying all this money to. We got to make sure he gets his touches and he is involved. And you definitely felt some of those growing pains and as a part of this losing streak that, well, hey, maybe this lesson learned is you can't have Donovan Mitchell go 4 minutes at the end of a game without a shot.
That's exactly right. I mean, Mitchell, and I thought there would be an adjustment between those two. And strictly an on the floor adjustment, and adjustment for everybody else too. Mobley plays better with Garland. And he's got to be able to play better with Mitchell, and Mitchell and Garland are still trying to figure out each other. I mean, look, Donovan Mitchell's a superior player. There's no question about it. He's way better than and I thought he was good when he got to Cleveland, but he's way better than that even. I
Currently
mean,
the fourth highest points per game in the league right now, 31.6.
Yeah, I mean, he gets to wherever he wants on the court. He gets good looks at the basket. He's become a knockdown 3-point shooter, and can get to the basket at will. He's just a superior player. He's, to me, Chase, right now, he's one of the top 4 or 5 players in the entire NBA. I mean, just the way, at least offensively, just the way he carries himself, he's a great teammate. And that's what's impressed me the most about him.
Yep.
He's a guy who's scoring 31.6 points per game, but he lifts his teammates up emotionally all the time. Good guy, gets along well with the coach, respects the coach, gets along well with his teammates. They love him. He loves them. Really has been an excellent addition. That said, I was just going to say, Chase, that said, it still takes some time to adjust to each other on the court.
Can I share another concern that I have noticed with this Cavs team? And I saw this when they beat the Celtics, which they tried their hardest to lose that game against the Celtics at home. Like it was like the Celtics, like they tried really hard to the Cavs to lose that game. But this is an issue. This game, it was an issue against the Clippers. Garland and Mitchell don't have a lot of length. They are not very tall. And when you get a long wing player on them at the end of a game and they clamp down, they have a really hard time of getting a clean open shot. And when you look at the other teams in the East, whether it is Milwaukee or, Boston or even Toronto, who throws out 5, 6, 8, 6, 9 guys, it's like Garland and Mitchell got to figure out how to get shots up because like it was an issue. It's been an issue so far. Like at the end of games, the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, and that's really up to JB Bickerstaff to figure that out. How do we get these guys not just the ball? How do I get Donovan Mitchell the ball in the final 4 minutes against the Clippers, but also find a way for him to get an open look at the basket without him having to do it all himself? Because like you said, if they're going against the defenders, 6'5", 6'6" defenders, and they're 6'1", Garland's probably not 6'1". He's probably closer to 6 foot, if that. How do they get these shots off? Well, you have to draw up plays and figure out how to get them open so that they don't have to do it on their own. And that's been a problem a little bit. That we saw that on the West Coast. It's been a lot of, kind of Mitchell or Garland trying to break people down off the dribble, and it just hasn't resulted in a lot of good plays. So I think it's important for them to stay healthy, for Mitchell and Garland particularly. Now you've got Jared Allen out. All those guys need to be getting reps. Now, it's not a panic situation with guys out a game here and there, but they need to be getting reps with each other because, come playoff time, that's when you want to be polished. That's when you want all these guys to be, a cohesive unit, as opposed to, boy, we have 2 really good guards and a pretty good young power forward, and an all-star center, but you got to bring all that together. And that, look, that's going to take a little bit of time before they are able to perfect all that.
Yeah. I want to do a segment we've done before, Sam, called How Does This End? Where I give you topics and you, Sam, predict what will happen or how it will end. I just have a few here before we take a break. Sam, how does this end? The Cavs losing streak. How does this end? Does it end today, Wednesday, against Milwaukee?
I don't think so.
How does it end, Sam? How does it end?
Who do they play Friday?
Thursday. So Wednesday, the Bucks. We'll talk about this at the break. Thursday, they play a back-to-back home against the Hornets.
That's when it ends.
Okay, so they're going to lose five straight games.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule them out totally against the Bucks. It's just going to be hard because they're not going to have Jared Allen. The Bucks
Giannis is probable.
And if Giannis is out, then you might be in business.
He's probable. Signs that saying he's playing. All right, so you're saying this ends Thursday against the lowly Hornets.
Yeah, and the Hornets have been playing better. LaMelo Ball's back, but I think you'd win that game at home. Yes.
All right. How does this end? The Cavs injury unluck. Will this continue, or once these players get healthy, will this hopefully kind of see a pretty stable, consistent lineup for the Cavs?
I think once everybody's healthy, you're going to have a consistent starting 5 with LeVert as your starting small forward and Dean Wade off the bench. So I think that they know what their minutes and roles are. It's just with injuries, those things can change a little bit.
I loved Lamar Stevens getting minutes.
He's fantastic.
I loved Lamar Stevens' minutes. How does this end? Cavs fourth quarter woes. Sam, how does this end?
I think they're going to get back to their defensive ways, which they really, took a lot of pride in at the beginning of the season and as well as all of last season. It's harder to defend on the road because, as we saw on the West Coast trip, teams are more comfortable shooting the basketball in their own arena. That makes it that much tougher to defend. So I think once the schedule balances out, they'll overcome those fourth quarter woes because they'll have some more home games, frankly.
Yeah. I don't want to be talking about these fourth quarter woes all season. And I'm just a little concerned, Sam, that it might not end for a while, but let's hope that is true. Sam, how does this end? Isaac Okoro, Sir Charles Barkley said this recently. He said, Isaac will be delivering my DoorDash soon. Didn't really hold back. How does this end,
Charles,
Isaac Okoro?
Chase, I hate to say this on a podcast with you, but I don't have a lot of hope there.
Yeah.
Now, because I think, I put it this way. He played his best game of the year against the Timberwolves, I think. He had some really fine defensive moments. He was a little more aggressive and active on offense. If he can continue to do that and build off that, then you might have something. But, this was the year that I really thought, okay, this is the year that Okoro is in kind of a make or break year for the Cavs. It's always like your third year. Well, he's in year 3.
Hey, you're talking to the president of the Isaac Okoro fan club. I bought everyone's stock. It's just me on the island right now. I'm just the only one left. Everyone has gone. It's just me. I'm alone on this island, Sam. Help me out.
I had high hopes for him this year. But he's got to be able to hit that corner 3, and he's not been hitting it. He's not really been shooting. He doesn't look to have improved from last season. And I think at some point you've got to say, because it kind of felt like they were forcing it with him a little bit. But I think at some point you have to say, look, right now Lamar has got those minutes. Yeah. You've got to earn them back. And you know what, Chase? Sometimes that motivates a guy to say, okay, I'm just going to go all out. And, I'm not saying that he doesn't play hard, because he does, but maybe take a different approach. What's your niche, Isaac? Find your niche and do that in practice and watch Lamar and see what he does. And, because Isaac Okoro has way more of an upside than Lamar Stevens. But right now, I would say, based on the one game, Lamar Stevens is a better pro right now. So I think, look, I hate to say that he's going to be delivering DoorDash to Charles Barkley, but he's not far from that if he doesn't start being consistently productive.
Someone will pick him up, or someone will take him in. Someone will
take him in a trade. Yeah, sure. But it won't be, I'm saying it won't be in Cleveland if he doesn't get to the point where he's more consistent.
Isaac, I'll start you on my team. You always have a spot on my starting 5.
Ohio
Isaac.
Christian College.
Hey, university.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, come on. No, I'm. You hope if no, I don't want to see anyone not succeed, right? So you hope a game like he had against the Timberwolves is a confidence builder. He didn't seem like he just seemed really timid at the so far this season and unsure of himself and without confidence on offense. Defense, he's still. Like he seems in his element on defense, which has
for
kind
sure
of been his MO. But you're hoping a game, everything you said would get him going and motivating. But it's lonely here on Isaac Okoro Island, and really, I think real estate's real cheap, Sam. If you want to just make a little investment,
I might make a small purchase, but okay. I think that having Lamar Stevens start the other night may have offered Isaac some motivation.
I loved him last year and, was excited that he was still on the roster, but then man, I want him to find some minutes because I love what he brings to the table. And actually, how does this end Lamar Stevens? He was my last one. How does Lamar, does he work himself into 10, 12 minutes a game? Or, how does this end with Lamar Stevens? Or is this just like a chip to dangle as like a trade piece?
I think right now he has worked himself in, especially with Dean Wade's knee issue. Seems like it's been lingering a little bit. Sounds like it could be bursitis or something of the knee for Dean Wade. So with that in mind, you're going to need Lamar Stevens, and he played a whale of a game the other night. I asked JB Bickerstaff about him after the game, and he just said, look, you saw what he brings, right? Energy, endless energy, plays within himself, doesn't force things. And And when we need a basket, Lamar is not afraid to go out and take the shot. So, I think he's worked himself into the rotation, back into the rotation, and is going to be a regular part of that. I will say this: by the February trade deadline, Chase, after which only either Lamar Stevens or Isaac Okoro will still be on the Cavs.
How does it end, Sam? You're just going to leave us on a cliffhanger like that? You got to tell us how it ends. That's the point of the segment.
They've got to duke it out. I think, based on what I've seen so far, if you can get something for Okoro, if you can go out and get a guy who's even a veteran player who can help you at playoffs that hits threes, then you got to go out and get that. And I think
would they take a second round for Okoro?
And that's it? Just a second round pick?
Yeah.
No, they want a player. They want somebody who help him. Otherwise, you just keep him on the team and say, look, you've got 3 more months to make something of yourself on our team and be a fit.
What if the Warriors are like, we'll give you our first?
Well, depending on your situation, if Lamar Stevens is playing well, then yeah, then you have your Lamar Stevens and you get a first round pick next year, which they presumably are not going to have.
Gosh, he would thrive in Golden State. It would be gross. It would be gross.
What if I was going to say, what if the Lakers offered your first round pick, but they don't have any until 2027?
All right. Well, let me tell you how this ends. That's the end of the segment. I always like Sam. We do some good segments on the show. We don't the segments don't get enough credit. Let me tell you that.
I give them full credit.
You give them full
credit. On the spot.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our good friends at Aligned Health Center and DraftKings. And we'll take a quick break. We'll look at the Week 5 slate and make some predictions coming up. Stick around. Cavs on the break. We'll be right back.
Ohio, listen, I have some great news for you. DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Buckeye State, and Press Play Podcast has sponsored with them to help you get the most bang for your buck. And it won't be long until you can bet on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. To celebrate, all new customers will receive $200 in free bets when you sign up today using our promo code P3Cavs. That's capital P, the number 3, capital C, capital A, capital V, capital S, P3Cavs. Plus, 5 lucky customers will win a $100,000 free bet. You heard that right. $100,000 free bet. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you, right now, if you sign up for free, $200 in free bets just for signing up with our promo code, no deposit required. And you'll be entered to win a $100,000 free bet when you sign up. I just did it. It is super simple. It's easy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, wherever you get your apps on your phone. It is the best. You'll receive that $200 in your account the moment sports betting becomes legal in Ohio, looking like January 1st. You don't want to miss out on this incredible offer. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966, 21 years, ages, and older. You have to be physically present in Ohio. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory license requirements. 1 entry per customer. $200 will be issued as 8 $25 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends the first day DraftKings is allowed to operate in Ohio. See terms at dkng.co/OH. Hey, this is Chase Smith, and I'm here to tell you about our wonderful longtime friends over at Aligned Health Center. Did you know Aligned Health Center is the first and only chiropractic biophysics clinic in Northern Ohio? There is no other chiropractic clinic in the area that does what Aligned Health Center does. Let me tell you all about them. And I should know, I just went to them last month and they were incredible. From the welcome staff to the technicians and the doctors, it was an incredible experience. And I know you're going to enjoy your time there. Chiropractic biophysics is a technique that actually reshapes the spine and restores it to its original correct position. At most chiropractors you go in, you just get an adjustment and you're left with that short-term relief, but it's not actually fixing the underlying structural issues. But at Aligned Health Center, they actually aim to correct the structural issues and provide long-term relief to their patients. I'm talking about back pain, neck pain, migraines, ADHD, digestive issues, sleep disturbance, whiplash, scoliosis, and knee pain. Yes, that's right. They can even help correct lifelong knee pain. And it gets better. They're opening a huge, brand new state-of-the-art facility in Westlake. It's going to look so nice. I saw the floor plans. It looks incredible. You're going to love it. And in addition to chiropractic biophysics, they also offer regenerative medicine, which is a way to help rebuild cartilage in various joints and help reduce pain in places like knees, shoulders, wrists, and even your lower back. You can check them out online at alignedhealthcenters.com. That's Aligned Health Centers with an S, alignedhealthcenters.com, or call at 440-385-7357. Again, that's 440-385-7357 to schedule your exam. We will put the website and the phone number in the show notes of this episode.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tybus, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
The R&R podcast going to be rocking and rolling with you because football season is underway. College, Ohio State, the Power Fives, the MAC, the Browns. Michael Regai, are you ready to rock and roll with some football?
Kenny, I've been ready. This is our time of year. This is what R&R is all about. We're going to be with you every week. Kenny just said it, Browns, NFL, Ohio State centric. So you got to stay with us all fall and winter long here on R&R.
That's right. The Regai and Rhoda podcast coming to you here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Subscribe now and don't miss a show.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary. And I'm Jason. Opening cards as a kid, no matter what was in the pack, you always had that stick of chewing gum. Well, it turns out Gary and I opened up a box of 86 Tops last year, and let me tell you, the chewing gum does not age well.
Join us on the Ball Card Show,
the sports podcast for the sports collector.
All right, we are back. Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Is this a week 5 or week 6? This is week 6, right?
I think it's week 6. Yeah. They wouldn't let us on last week, so we got thrown off in terms of which week it was.
Week 6. Here's the slate here for week 6 in the Cavs. Today, you're listening to this on a Wednesday. We're traveling to Milwaukee to play the Bucks at 8 p.m. You ever had they have a really good beer up there in Wisconsin, Spotted Cow, I think is what it's called. You ever had that?
Oh, no, I've never had a beer in the beer capital. I guess you could call Milwaukee the beer capital of the United States. I've never had a beer there. No.
Spotted Cow is delicious. We traveled there today to play the Bucks 8 o'clock. On Thursday, we play back-to-back. We host the Hornets, as we mentioned before the jump, 7:30 at the Rock. And then we have 4 straight home games. Sunday, we play the Miami Heat at the Rock. And then on Monday, we host the Hawks. No, that's week 6. I was right. This is we're in the middle of week 5 right now.
Yeah.
And then Monday is week 6.
Right. Okay.
So Monday we host the Hawks 7 p.m. at the Rock, which Sam, hopefully I get to be there with you for that game, which would be a ton of fun.
I'm daring to dream.
Soft.
You'll be there with.
All right. We can when we cover the game, we can only quote in Shakespearean language and poets and iambic pentameter. No, hey, what are some week 5, week 6 predictions here, Sam? What if you're the Cavs and you're staring at a 4-game, which you think is going to be a 5-game losing streak? I think we're going to beat the Bucks. What are some predictions that you like? What if you're the Cavs? What are you looking to get out of this next week of games?
You want to play a good game against the Bucks because, like the Celtics, they're considered a true blue Eastern Conference contender, a team that has dreams of winning another title and has the talent to probably do it. So you want to give a good showing, obviously to kind of a measuring stick for yourself. Even though you want to have Jared Allen, look, they won without Darius Garland in Boston. They can pull it off in Milwaukee without Jared Allen. It'll be a tall task, but just go out, play well, get organized, get yourself situated, give yourself a chance to win, and then of course take care of business at home. You've got the Hornets, the Heat, the Hawks, and the Hornets are trying to find their way after LaMelo Ball returned. And Terry Rozier's back, noted Cavs killer from
Scary
Cleveland.
Terry, man.
Yeah, has been for a long time. So, that's a good matchup for your guards. And then, of course, the Heat finished with the best record in the Eastern Conference last year. Always a challenge. Always play hard. Chase, we're both big Jimmy Butler guys.
Yes.
A guy these are just good games. Hawks, same thing. With DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, John Collins, a nice player, Clint Capella, a very underrated center. So these are all games where, we go out and play, as JB Bickerstaff calls it, our brand of basketball, Cavaliers basketball. We're good enough to beat anybody, and that's the truth. And you're getting these teams at home now. You're off your West Coast trip. You have games at home. Take care of business at home. And show these teams that you really are a team to be truly reckoned with in the Eastern Conference.
And you nailed it right there, Sam. If you believe the hype, if you read the headlines, if you listen to our podcast and you hear that the Cavs are never going to lose again, you have to at some point start beating these teams like the Heat, like the Hawks, especially at home. If you truly are an East contender, which I believe the Cavs are, then you look at games like this on the schedule and no longer are they, well, we just want to see some more development. We just want to see whatever. Right. No, if you are who you say you are and you are who you want to be, you got to beat teams like this. You got to take that next step. And I think this is an incredibly important week for the Cavs team. I think, injuries or not, everyone deals with injuries at some point. It's a part of the league and you got to find a way to win. We have praised the team on this podcast weeks and weeks about how much depth we have. I think Jeremy's like, we're the deepest team in the league. And okay, so show us. So you have these 7-footers and you thought hey, Evan Mobley, this is your time. This is your time to say, no, hey, like I'm the player that you guys think I am. Right. Hey, Lamar Stevens, Isaac Okoro, you want to really say, hey, this is like, I have a spot on the team. Then this is your time right here against a defensive team like the Heat, against, these teams that were at one point above you. Like this is the time for you to say, hey, no, it's our turn now. And we're going to take care of business. So you nailed it.
Yeah. Chase, I'll tell you this, how you're the president of Isaac Okoro Club. I've been the president of the Karis LeVert Club.
Yeah.
And he's driving me nuts. Mm-hmm. And I think it seems like he and Mobley both are having trouble, just gripping the basketball or dribbling sometimes. And both of them, I'm just like, you guys just both look out of sorts. Both of them, to me, have kind of, I mean, LeVert is not shooting very well. He's getting looks. His touch is just off. I think he is still adjusting to this facilitator role, which I really like how he's been performing as a facilitator. What I think it's cost him a little bit is his scoring mentality. And I think his shot is off. And I just don't, his touch is off right now. Hopefully he'll get that back. Otherwise, he's been playing okay.
So you want to find, you want to have LeVert find his rhythm again?
Have LeVert find his rhythm. Mobley's out of rhythm. I know he's had, 22 points. You look at that 22-point game a lot of times, Chase, and this is great. This is needed. He's getting a lot of those points on put back slams.
Yep.
Misses up. His footwork looks to me like it's worse than last season. It's almost like somebody got into his head and said, hey, you need to start posting up more. And when you get the ball in the post, you need to shoot one of those baby hooks. And they're always short. Every one of them's short. I don't know why he's just not getting the lift on him. Maybe his foot's bothering him or something. But look, I still think the sky's the limit for Evan Mobley. He's just been out of sorts. When you compare him to last season when he seemed so poised as a rookie, he seems less poised this year so far than he was last year. And again, it's extremely early. He's still, teams have learned how to defend him a little better. I would like to see him out on the perimeter now, not taking shots, but when he's on the perimeter. Last year, he always made the right play with the ball. And that really raised expectations. Mm-hmm. He's not done that consistently this year. He's done it sometimes. He's just not done it consistently. And, look, Scotty Barnes is having an awful year, rookie of the year. I shouldn't say awful, just nothing like he was having last year. So sometimes there's these sophomore, I don't want to call it a slump, but kind of like a little hump you have to get over. Yeah. Teams have adjusted to you. They're scouting you a little more. And you've got to adjust. So in the case of Mobley, look, I still think obviously his numbers are good. I think he's got to start start making winning plays again, which he hasn't done a ton of this year. What do you have, like 4 points against the Timberwolves?
Yeah.
So, I just would like to see, and I'm sure the Cavs would, more consistency from him and more poise from him as well.
I'm predicting a huge Evan Mobley game against the Bucks.
Well, I hope you're right, because he could use one. He really could.
But
I think once he gets that game, Chase, once he gets that huge game, I think he's going to be good for the rest of the year.
Yeah. I almost did a segment that we've done before called Narratives, where we just predict headlines over the next couple weeks, which Mobley would have been definitely a narrative, but alas, we did. How did this end? Any other predictions, Sam, upcoming slate? Is there a game you're looking forward to the most, other than the Hawks game with me, of course?
I was just going to say, could there be one I'm looking forward to more? Well, for that game too, I think that as a NBA fan, you look at it and you say, okay, DeJounte Murray and Trae Young against Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. That matchup is, that's a good measuring stick. I think out of those four players, and I think Trae Young's fantastic. I think Donovan Mitchell is the best of the four.
Mm-hmm.
And
best player on the court, baby.
Well, and that goes back to your theory. When you talk about these games coming up, I actually thought of what you've said, which is because it's the truth, which is rare.
Well,
but
you think Mitchell's better than buckets?
I was going back and forth in my mind with that one. It's probably a draw.
I don't know after what he did to Booker. I don't know. I think he kind of showed out against the Suns, man.
I'll tell you what, Donovan Mitchell, to me, it would be, Luka Doncic.
Yep.
Who's just obviously does whatever he wants, almost whenever he wants it.
Yeah.
Look, there's a few others, but those two to me have been the top two guards, other than obviously Steph. Those three. Yeah, some guy out. We don't need to worry about him.
Look, as transcendent as I thought Trae Young was the past couple years, especially against us in the play-in game, I do think Mitchell is better than him.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't know if I could go as far as say buckets. That I
don't know. Donovan Mitchell's been really good.
He has. I think top 5 player in the East for sure, but
Giannis,
Embiid.
Jimmy Butler, Embiid. What about Tatum?
I think Tatum is above Mitchell, even though the Cavs have beat them twice.
Yeah.
And then I think Buckets is 4, and I think Mitchell's 5.
You're forgetting someone in there, I bet.
Okoro 6.
Yeah, of course.
No, here. Let's just look. This is a fun game here. I got it right here. Tatum, yep. Giannis, Embiid, Buckets. I mean Durant probably.
Yeah, you got to put Durant up there.
But do you?
I might. Yes, yeah. I mean, his team's a mess. But he still does. I mean, he's phenomenal.
There's someone right now screaming, "What about Cade Cunningham?"
yeah. I know one listener yelling that.
Yeah, man. Chris,
I think,
our Detroit guy, Chris. He's like,
yeah,
Cade's the best player in the East.
Well, I hope Chris appreciates HoopsWire today because I'm pretty sure I had more Pistons news on there than Cavs. So.
Chris is the best. We need to get him back on, man. Maybe whenever we play the Pistons again, have him on.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Shouts to Chris, man. Chris, great guy. Love that guy. And Sam, hey, you know what? Shouts to you.
I appreciate that. Do I get the Junkyard Dog Award finally?
I want to give
never won it.
The Junkyard Dog Award. I don't know whose responsibility it is to bestow it on someone, but I just feel like, look, we had to get your connection worked out. You sound great, and you performed. You came through, man. You found your rhythm. You hit that corner 3, and you're just a dog. You got that dog in you. So, Sam Amico, Junkyard Dog Award tonight, man. Great job by you.
I appreciate that. I figure if I beg enough, what's more important to me than winning the Junkyard Dog Award, though, is the fact that every week I show up, I'm the best looking guy on the show. So,
I think Sable might have to fight you. It's like he would take umbrage to that. I'm not going to say who is a better looking, but Sable, you got to watch those TV guys, man.
I think all 3 of you guys are tied for first, and
All right, well, that does it for this episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Thank you all so much for downloading and listening. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. Sam, we always follow back. Every single time, you always follow back. Shouts to our other sponsors, DrafKings Sportsbook. Download the app. Sign up with our promo code P3Cavs to receive $200 when gambling becomes legal in January. We'll have free bets. You get 8 bets of $25 each. That's how that works. And whenever January 1 hits, boom, it's in your account. Federal restrictions apply. Get ahead of the game by pre-registering for DraftKings Sportsbook in Ohio. Plus, you get an entry into a sweepstakes to win a one of 5 $100,000 free bet. Simply download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, complete your verification, opt in to receive the welcome bonus, and you'll be ready to go. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. 21 years older. Apply. You have to be physically present in Ohio. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Shouts to our other sponsor, Aligned Health Center. Love those people. Longtime friends of the pod. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain. Go check them out. Sam is going to have your neck checked for wearing that dog chain. It's so heavy. You're going to be having to go get them checked because you're wearing that junkyard dog.
Yeah, and my knee. I've had knee problems the last couple of days, which is very rare for me. Yeah,
Aligned Health Center,
without a question. Yeah.
They're the best. They're the best. Any final thoughts, my man?
No, I hope to see you Monday. Yes. And I will say this: win or lose, the Cavs have put a very exciting product on the floor, and that's what a lot of people have been waiting for after the LeBron era. And I think they have an opportunity to do some really good things.
Love it. Well, Sam, I'll see you on Monday. Mike Breen, take us out.
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.